What's going on, guys? It's Luke22SV here, back with the 18th round of Season 2 of the Mick Schumacher career mode here for the US Grand Prix this weekend. And as you can see, there's no upgrades coming into this weekend. We're going straight on into qualifying off the back of a race in Russia, which was, well, Japan I should say rather, which was just a good race for us. We got 25 points, gained advantage on Leclerc as well by 25 points. A little bit of a controversial race. We ended up having our incident on lap 1 where he just kind of tried to overtake us on the outside of 130R, ran straight off and just didn't make the move in the end, which was disappointing for him. But great news for us, we managed to gain 25 points on Leclerc in the championship. We're 38 points clear coming into this weekend, and we're just going through to come into this one of my weakest tracks on the calendar. So good to get this one out of the way and hopefully move on to Mexico, Brazil and Abu Dhabi, and eventually we can hopefully seal the title in the coming races. But we do not know how this championship's going to unfold, and just 4 races left, anything can happen, as we've seen a lot in real life as well. But since on 2012 I've just never been able to get this track right. Turn 1, a difficult corner, it's almost blind as you go up a hill to make it. But this is my actual, this is part of the track I actually do like, the S's section. Come through here and we just go gear down onto gear 6. We try and hang it around on that long right hander, and then coming up we can tell we're a pad user there as well. We turned in a bit too early, but maybe if I had a steering wheel I'd be a little bit faster at this game. But at the moment we're just using the pad, and we have been for, well, ever since I've been playing F1 games. But this is a track I just struggled with ever since F1 2012. I've just never been able to be good around this track. Of course, last season our race was ended by Kevin Magnussen after he just literally bulldozed into us after his car was retiring, which was not what, well, it just kind of literally painted a picture of the rivalry me and Kevin Magnussen had last season. We haven't really had to race him much this season. Rivalry we have had has been with Kimi Raikkonen really, and of course we've had a little bit of a rivalry with Charles Leclerc now, who's we've had a few incidents with this season as well. And well, now we've got a title fight on our hands with him. But we're 38 points clear with 4 races to go, and we just need to really get a couple of 3 third places and a second if he wins every race, and we are 1 point clear in the title. If that is how it pans out, that's how the championship's going to end. But we crossed the line there in provisional pole position, but is it going to be good enough to seal pole position? In fact, no, it's not. We're going to be down in 8th on the grid then for the US Grand Prix, and Leclerc is up in pole position, so that is not ideal for us. That's not what we wanted. We need to gain some places off the start then for this race. It's a good place to make, well, you can just dive bomb like we did in Russia. That's what our plan is anyway. Hopefully we're starting on the inside, which is going to make it easier for us, otherwise we'd have to cut across. But the US Grand Prix ended in retirement for us last season with Kevin Magnussen taking us out. But this is a new track then, pretty much it's been around since 2012. Of course, USA, but off again, on again, love affair with F1. And there could be 2 tracks on the US, well, on the F1 calendar from USA one day. We'll see what happens. But Leclerc is on pole position, and Nico Hülkenberg is alongside him. Both the Red Bulls there alongside in row 2. Vettel and Sainz on row 3, and then Hamilton and myself on row 4 with Bottas, Raikkonen, and then Perez, Ocon on row 6. Force India looking fairly good this weekend, and then you can see the rest of the pack with both the Hasses falling back in development. McLaren have actually overtaken them as well, which is a bit of a surprise. McLaren were struggling at the start of the season. We were hoping to see them perform a little bit better than what they have been, but we are on the inside, so you expect a dive bomb into turn 1 as the 5 red lights come on to start the US Grand Prix, and it's lights out and away we go. And it's a fairly poor start, as you'd expect, because the AI is so much better at starting. But we can see the gap going into turn 1. We dive up into P2, well, P3. We're side by side with one of the Red Bulls. It looks like it's Max Verstappen, and it is. And Leclerc is falling down to second, so that's great news for us. We can see Hülkenberg doing us some work there, and he's got into the lead of this race. As we go through the S's, you can see we catch up with these guys in the S's. Actually, we're quite quicker than the AI. And now we're close enough to Leclerc to think about perhaps taking P2 away from him. If we can take P2 away from Leclerc, that would be good news. But Hülkenberg, of course, with a Sauber, is probably the best car at the moment. So Leclerc's going to be doing his bit to try and retake the lead of this race from Hülkenberg as we come up to the main straight of overtaking opportunities. Leclerc is close enough to Hülkenberg to perhaps think about overtaking him. We're not really close enough to overtake him. We're a bit too far ahead of Vettel as well. So P3 at the moment. Can you see Leclerc is looking to the outside, perhaps to Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg out of shape and gets a poor exit out of that corner as well. So we're close enough to Leclerc now to overtake. It was good down the inside of Leclerc, locking up. And Hulkenberg all over the place on this lap 1, despite taking the lead of this race. And we looked to make the opportunity to dive down the inside and take the lead of this race. We dive down the inside and make a bit of contact. And we've taken the lead of this race. And Hulkenberg has just tagged us. And we're spun around by Hulkenberg, then hit by one of the Red Bulls. And then we're finished off by one of the Force Indias. And we're out of the US Grand Prix for the 2nd consecutive year. And in this title fight, a complete disaster for Mick Schumacher and we're out of the US Grand Prix. And looks like Leclerc is potentially going to gain 25 points and he's going to go back down to 13 points. Here's the replay of the start. You get such a good start and dive bomb into turn 1. See Hulkenberg getting a good move on Leclerc as well. But what did Hulkenberg do? We were driving in a straight line. We just got the lead of the Grand Prix, having overtaken Nico Hulkenberg. And then he just decides, we're going to take you out. He does not want to be overtaken by us. Well, we did make a bit of contact going into that corner. He did turn in on us. We had the inside line. But Hulkenberg leading the way. We were close enough to Leclerc, almost thinking about overtaking him into this next corner. But again, we fell back a bit from him. As you can see, Hulkenberg leading the way from myself, or Leclerc, myself, Vettel, and then both the Red Bulls, and then Carlos Sainz in the background. But as you can see, coming up down this back straight, the Hulkenberg has got such a tiny little advantage. Leclerc getting a good toe off of him, and everyone else is going to be able to get a toe off each other as well, and potentially see a couple of overtakes. You can see Leclerc goes to the outside of Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg is just all over the place in these next few corners. We spot an easy opportunity to overtake Leclerc. We follow that opportunity, locking up, but it's good enough to take P2. Then maybe did we get a bit greedy? I don't think we did. We just spot the opportunity, dive down the inside of Hulkenberg. He turned in on us. He just turned in on us. Now we're in the lead. We're in a straight line. Hulkenberg comes across the racing line. We're on the racing line and takes us out. We're hit by the Red Bull. Then the Force India of Perez, that looks like, just hits us, and we're out of the US Grand Prix. And here is the replay of Hulkenberg's view of the incident. He's all over the place, just overcorrecting and oversteering. And you can see myself diving down the inside of Leclerc again, going into that corner. He's a little bit tentative. And then we can see this left-hander where we'd made the move on Hulkenberg. He just turns in on us. Loses a bit of his front wing. Silly driving from him. We're in a straight line. He turns again. He just drives into us, and we're out of this race, hit by the Red Bull and then the Force India. We just, well, we did lean a bit forwards, allowing the Force India to overtake, run into us. Leclerc all over the back of Hulkenberg, and then perhaps he didn't expect us to appear down the inside of him either. And, well, he didn't turn on us though like Hulkenberg did. Here's the view of the incident between myself and Leclerc, or Hulkenberg from Leclerc's view. Dive down the inside of Hulkenberg. We're on the inside. Hulkenberg comes across and just completely hits us. And, well, Hulkenberg was lucky that he didn't run into Leclerc then. And that would have been good news for us. But here's the onboard from Perez as well. So he's just coming along. He just sees us there and loses a chunk of his front wing. So that's going to ruin his race as well. But we're out of the race. And there's nothing we can do about that. Well, we're just going to hope that Leclerc didn't win this race, because if he did, that would just have been the icing on the cake for what's been just a horrible race. And indeed, he has won the race. Frederick Vasseur, happy again, goes straight to that engineer and celebrates. Leclerc will be happy to shorten the gap to 13 points with just 3 races to go. So with 13 points, 3 races to go, it's going to be a huge, exciting battle for this title. Leclerc winning from Ricciardo, so Ricciardo maybe is close enough to still think about this championship. With I don't know how many points he'll be behind, but there you can see the order. Leclerc won from Ricciardo, Vettel, Sainz, Hamilton, and then Perez still managed to get in the points despite his his issue, and Hulkenberg finished outside the points. But we didn't get a penalty either, so don't know why. But here's the order, and you can see Leclerc 13 points behind. Ricciardo 38 points as well, so Ricciardo is all to play for. He could be just 13 points behind if myself and Leclerc have an incident in Mexico. So Ricciardo is still very much in it perhaps, or maybe not. We'll see how it unfolds in Mexico, and then Brazil and Abu Dhabi as well. But we'll see if the constructors is any different. If the constructors is affected by this, we could almost seal the constructors perhaps. We're still 108 points clear of Red Bull. So we're not really too worried about losing that to Red Bull in the next few races. We should be able to stay ahead of them. And Mercedes have re-overtaken Renault thanks to Hulkenberg's misdemeanors in that race. Just he could have won that race, Hulkenberg, but instead he decided to ruin it for us and himself. But that's going to be the end of the episode there. A huge result for Leclerc in his title fight between himself and Mick Schumacher. We'll see how it goes in Mexico in 2 days' time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you then. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.